It's your world.
Shaka on the beat. Shaka on the beat. Shaka on the
beat. This is D. Frank, and you're riding in the Black Scat Pack. What's going on, YouTube? This is your boy D. Frank. I'm coming back at you with part 2 of this maintenance with this truck. If you haven't watched part 1 about changing the crankcase valve filter, look above my shoulder. That card should be right up there. We're coming at part 2 today, and we're going to be taking the EGR valve off and cleaning it. It's a part of that 67,500 mile maintenance where you should clean it. I've watched the Motor City mechanic on YouTube on how to do this process, and I even had to go to the forums and figure out what was going on with this, but that's neither here nor there. And I want to say with the 2016s and above, only thing you have to do at this 67.5 maintenance is change the crankcase valve filter. But I want to say the older Ram 3500s, it's required that you take the EGR system and clean it as well, but it's recommended with my truck. I'm gonna do it anyways, just for the simple fact that I mainly use this for commercial towing, and I'm pretty sure that system is filthy, and then judging from the gunk and grease I seen behind the crankcase valve filter, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. So let's get into it. Okay, everybody, as you see right here, we kept the cover off because right here is the EGR valve, and we're going to be taking this off. And y'all, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to talk to my dad. Got my train of thought back from talking to my dad. First thing I forgot to mention, I know you're going to need to do this for the next part of the video, but we're going to disconnect both negative battery terminals, since we're going to be, taking the electrical wires, unhooking things. So it'll just be better to be safe than sorry on it. Okay, since we basically used 10 millimeters to disconnect the battery terminals, next thing we're gonna do, basically we're gonna use that 10 millimeter to disconnect the battery terminal. So the next thing, we got 4 10 millimeter bolts, and we're gonna need an 11 millimeter to remove this V clamp and slide it out the way. There we go. Got one of the biggest things out the way. And y'all forgive me, this is my first time doing this, but y'all already know how this kind of stuff go when you're working on vehicles. Sometimes your impact don't want to do right, and you just have to do it the old-fashioned way. It ain't nothing wrong with that sometimes. Now, since we got that done, we're gonna take the 11mm socket. We don't even need the extension for that one. Gonna take that. Y'all gotta forgive me. I be in a bed. Sometimes when I need to take my gloves off to do stuff, I don't put them suckers back on. Alright, we got that loosened up enough. I can take my glove and just run my hand. You see this band right here? Once you get it loosened up, see this right here, just rotate it. You can rotate it to where to come up, and you can just lift it on out the way. Thankfully I know what that fell to. Look, once you get that off, and good Lord, just look at the smut and soot, or whatever you want to call this. Just look at like how terrible that is. Almost, well, dropping your tools is almost as terrible as this, unless it's a 10mm. Then dropping a 10mm is worse than this. Just look, look how dirty this. This is terrible. Let's soot around there. So next thing we're gonna do is gonna take the, and I'll come back to you guys with the next step. This is what the EGR valve looks like taking off, and I'm gonna try to get it into some light. Hopefully get it focused too. Man, this camera ain't doing it any justice right now, but I'm gonna try to shine a light up in there for you, where you can just get an idea how dirty this thing is. You might be able to see it. I doubt it, but man, this thing is filthy on the inside. I'm gonna take if I can take a picture and show you how dirty it is on the inside, I will. But anyways, what we're gonna do next, we're gonna take this sensor. Anyways, what we're gonna do next, we're gonna take the sensor off, and then we're gonna put the cleaner on the inside. Screws over here wanted to strip out, and so normally I would have that solenoid completely off, but it's far enough out the way to where we can get down in there and do what we got to do. You see all that soot, so I'm gonna put a rag down here in there, so once I press this valve, it will have some sort of resistance to where I can get. There's some retainers up in there that I can get those situated to where I can pull everything out and start running some cleaner through it. There we go. I didn't even have to use my tools to get the rag to pop that first little half out of there. I'm gonna use multi-tool right here to grab that other retainer out.
And you got to be careful because it is spring loaded. See all this extra soot? That's the reason I decided to go ahead and clean this thing. So I can take my rag out for the time being. And you could just see that's how that valve's supposed to work. Hold on. I don't know if you can see it on this camera right here, but we got everything out and you can see this valve. That's how it's supposed to work, and man, it's just nasty down in there. So what I'm gonna do next is use my cleaning solution. You could go and buy some EGR cleaner, and I've also been told you can use Purple Power. So I'm gonna put some Purple Power up in there, pour up in there, let it sit for a few hours. I'll occasionally come out here and work those valves, and I'll come back and rinse it. In a few hours I'll rinse everything out, and we'll start the reassembly process at that point. You may be able to see, but I got that Purple Power. There we go. I got that Purple Power poured up in there now. So I'm gonna probably fill it up a little bit more, but I'm gonna let that sit in there for a few hours and let that soak, and I'll probably actually take a rag or something and wipe all that extra smut and all that shit up off my hands, and probably go inside of this little crevice right here and I'm gonna also work that valve on the inside of here to see how much more freely it'll move. And like right then when I just tried to adjust it, it already felt a little bit smoother as I was trying to push it up in there to work it, and it's already doing its job because that valve is moving a little bit more free. But I'm gonna occasionally come out here and do that, and at the meantime I'm gonna clean up some of this extra stuff, and I'll come back to you once it's time to reassemble everything. I spilled some of that stuff out by accident. Just look how nasty that is. I think just look how dark and gritty that is. I think my filter that I have on this lens might make it just look a tad bit dark, like a shade darker, but that stuff is, man, that mess is filthy. Look like the back of some people's necks I've seen before. Well, not that bad, but you get the point. But that mess is nasty, and that's the main reason why I decided to break that down and clean that out. Hello? Hello? Nah, I'm just out here just trying to make it. Say what now? I done did what now? Hold on for a second, Dad. Hello? Yo. Shoot, I made it in. I done made it on in yesterday. I'm out here in this backyard fooling with the truck, taking the stuff up off here and get ready to get it done. So yeah, that's about it. What you got going on?